he got booted up to this one, and then the guy who did 28 million will go on the next one.
Ellie, are we for real live right now?
Are we live?
I think we're live.
Are we talking about this?
Ellie, are we live?
Valia, are we live? It says live.
Are we live?
Oh, hello.
Oh my gosh.
We're like every podcast. Have we started?
Are we started?
Have we started?
Are we started? Welcome.
Wow.
Welcome, PAX, to the Jackbox Writers Room. You've got a little glimpse into what it's like in this little office.
Behind
did
the
it.
scenes.
I was just letting them know the update on Jeff Bezos' space mission.
We get most of our news from Claire.
Yes. So what I'll do is I'll read the New York Times for 15 minutes every morning in my bed, and then I'll sort of let it dribble out across the day.
Yeah.
And that's how Jackbox stays informed.
And so we are here now to inform you how Jackbox does our thing. And our thing, writing comedy.
Writing.
Real fast, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. I'm CJ Tor. I've been a writer at Jackbox for almost 4 years now. And I've written since Jackbox 5 Party Pack. And then I was head writer for Push the Button, head writer for Devs and Details, and now I'm the editorial lead for The Poll Mind, which will be in the next Party Pack. Who are you?
Me next?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going down. I'm going down in random order.
What the heck? I'm Claire. Well, and I'm similar to CJ. We started at the same time, March of 3 years ago. Or almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have the same job. I'm on my first cup of coffee. And I was the editorial lead on Dictionarium, and then I designed and was editorial lead on Blather Round, and then this year I'm doing Drawful Animate, which is one of our new games that's about to come out. And this is one of our very special new writers, Paris.
Yeah, I would make her special. You're
Thank
the
you.
middle.
Thank
You're the
you.
bologna in the sandwich.
Thank you. I'm Paris. I'm a new writer here at Jackbox. I've been here since April, and that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She plays it close to the chest.
Gotta keep a little mystery in it.
Okay. So speaking of mysteries, we have two people who are not in studio, and we will not tell you where they are. But if you find them, you win. First, we'll start with Liz. Liz, how are you doing today?
From an undisclosed location, my name is Liz Anderson. Hi, everyone. I've been a writer at Jackbox for just over a year now. I got hired in 2020, so I worked on the Party Pack 7. And I'm just another fellow content creator, full-time writer, no special titles, but I'm excited about all the wonderful new games we'll be bringing to Party Pack 8.
Ooh. And then, and our fifth and also mysterious guest, Ali, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so honored to be on this podcast.
Thanks.
And I'm also a new writer. I started with Paris in April, and I've been writing for the Party Pack 8. And to honor Paris's requests, I will not reveal any other details.
Yeah. Paris said specifically, I don't want to say anything, and I'd be really appreciative if no one did. But yes, we are actually here to answer your questions. This is going out live, unlike the keynote speech by Mike Builder, because he's been dead for 10 years, and this speaks
R.I.P.
through a series of pre-recorded messages that only get more enigmatic from here on out. So, but we're here to answer your questions about the Jackbox writing process. We're also going to be talking about the Jackbox writing process. Actually, Claire, you had a unique idea of how to talk about that.
So what my kind of unique idea to kickstart the writing panel was to discuss what it means to write for Jackbox games.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone applaud? Okay. So basically, just to give like a general rundown of what the writers do at Jackbox, it varies across the course of the year. We're about to end production, and then a new cycle starts. And the way the cycle basically works is that in the fall, as a writer, you don't have a lot to do. You technically, but our brains are fertile playgrounds full of ideas that we are supposed to water and so we play games, we talk about games, we think of ideas, we play test. And so pretty much the fall and early winter are all about like coming up with ideas. with a little bit of like writing, marketing stuff sprinkled in. And then as each game is greenlit for the next pack, we and a team is formed around that game. That game will have an editorial lead attached to it, which is usually one of the writers, and that writer will determine kind of what content needs the game will have and map that out over the course of the production cycle. And then pretty much, especially once all 5 games are greenlit, our job is just straight up writing the content. And the content means both like the host and the host lines, so what you're hearing when you're playing the game, and then also the actual words on screen obviously need to be written, and then all of the prompts, which are baked in to the game.
Yeah, I just go off a question we actually just got in chat is who's in charge of all the fart noises? A question we get a lot.
Yes.
But actually, writing for Jackbox means working with lots of people because we don't just write text, we write, I would like a fart noise here. And then we have to go to audio and see if they have a fart noise available. Or maybe they'll come back and say, maybe a burp. And then it's a collaboration process.
Sure. And the person genuinely responsible for the fart noises is named Andy. Almost
exclusively Andy.
No last name. He just comes in and drops them off, and
I'm Andy. Come.
And he actually makes the farts, not how you think. Well, I don't know what you think. Let's hear it from the chat. But he has like putties on his desk, and he creates the noises with like different things,
which is called Foley. Actually, to go into what's up, let's go to like new writers, Allie, Paris, and I guess Liz is still new.
I occupy a middle ground where no one thinks of me.
What type of material?
Come on.
What type of material have you written for Jackbox thus far, being just in this party pack process?
I've written host dialogue, prompts, lots of different things. Allie, take it away.
Yeah. Thank you. Forced collaboration. Trivia questions. We've done a lot of trivia. Introductions to games and like little transitional jokes.
Yeah.
Liz, take it away.
Yes. Anything that you see that involves the beautiful written word or the spoken word or the implied word, that comes from a Jackbox writer. And also sometimes engineers who are bored.
We have a trivia game in this party pack. We often have a trivia game. So usually trivia writing, usually prompt writing, and where we have to write a prompt that sets the audience up to be funny. And then like there's usually some oddball ones. Speaking of which, we have a question coming in from the chat, mostly for Claire, of how did Blather Round come to be?
Oh, how fantastic.
Which I think that goes into the game design, but they're saying it seems like it's kind of a mixture of trades, Balderdash, Taboo, a lot of different games. So like how did you come up with it?
I came up with it. Well, the original idea was I don't like that many games. And so every year when the game process comes around, I sit down like this at my desk and I think, what do I like? And I really do like playing, like those games that you named are the type I like. And I really like playing this game with my family. The one, it's called so many different things, like Fruit Bowl or Celebrity, but it's like the first round is charades, the second round is you can only use one word, and like the third round is you can only use a noise to describe what you're getting at. So I like that kind of thing. Obviously that's not what Blather Round is actually like at all, but that's sort of like doing the best you can with what you have, and you have very limited resources, was sort of like the jumping off point. So then that's kind of where it came from. And then once I brought it to Jackbox and we play tested it, and then I had then the engineers came in and we're building prototypes. And of course, then it just like really evolves into its own very collaborative thing from there.
Yeah. Game design's pretty collaborative. We play test forever. Even you can come with just the germ of an idea and start playing with it. And then you kind of find what's fun.
Yeah.
Even like, sometimes it changes because you kind of chase the fun, which is like improv. You chase the funny of the scene.
Yeah. A lot of us are from the Chicago comedy scene.
Yeah. I
would say everyone here.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our games have started as improv games, especially Brooke Bright, famed game director.
Brooke Bright in comment just yelling, I cannot. So that's her
She must
conclusion.
not.
What could you not do? She just adds to the mystery. We do have a question of where do you find the facts for Fibbage 3? I would say I would expand that to all of our trivia game. How does everybody do research around here? Right? That's right.
You have to apply for a grant.
No. All right, fine.
The coffee's hitting the skeleton.
Everyone here is writing for a trivia game, except for me, because I'm busy writing a different game. But like, what do you do? How do you start your research day if you're like, oh, I have to write smart stuff today?
Paris.
I just think of, I'm a real pop culture junkie. So I just reach into the depths of my pop culture database and I pull something as obscure as possible out and try and make it work. But yeah, just, think about movies, TV that you watch, books that you've read.
Do you just like sit there and try to think of something you like?
Just go to the
and
old.
Something permeates the darkness of my subconscious, it floats to the center and I grab it and then I put it in the game.
You wake up in the middle of the night like, bag.
In a cold sweat, I'm like, Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah. So yeah, much like Chuck, they plant the writers with an intersect as soon as they get into this company. Yeah, that's a reference.
Raise your hand if you don't get it.
Oh, wow.
One on the panel.
All right, someone in chat tell me I'm very funny. Anyway, have a different research besides mining the depths of the human brain?
I mean, I do the opposite. I make the membrane between myself and the world as thin as possible, and I like to go for a long walk and just like look at things and be like, oh, shorts. And then I have a Google Doc and I write down like, oh, alligator, death, shorts, vermouth. I'm just naming things. Yeah. And then later I go and sometimes I'll Google them and just be like, oh, that's what shorts are. And then I'll try and like reverse engineer a question into it. Because otherwise I'll just only write questions about like volcanoes and I don't know, reality TV. The only two things I like.
Yeah.
I do like to Google things and just type something into the Google box and see what auto populates after it, and I'm like, let's go down that path.
Yeah, I've been using a lot of random word generator, just like it's communication, constitution. Like, okay, now let's think about it. The workflow for a trivia game is so entirely different than pretty much any other games. Only because it requires like those 3 or 4 levels of like, is this interesting? Is this funny? Is this true? Is this a good trivia question? And those are like very separate things. And we're at the point now in our current trivia game where we've thought of everything, but that is such a fun opportunity to find trivia questions that are just real wonky and real weird and interesting, where Tim Sniffen says that's where the magic happens. So
yeah, to get back to Fibbage 3, if you write here for a while, there's different types of trivia games, and sometimes I'm looking for fact. I'm like, this isn't good for this because, like, say for this game, you want a question that a lot of people know, you want them to succeed. This is too obscure, so this would make a good Fibbage question because Fibbage, you want to be more interesting than well known, and so then I have like documents open that I'm writing for a bunch of future potential sequels or different types of trivia things. So sometimes I'll find a fact that's not good for this game, but maybe another one. Speaking of different games, we do have a question, crappy icebreaker question. Everybody say one nice thing about their least favorite Jackbox game. Let's get fired.
Say a nice thing about our least favorite game.
Yeah, I'll start off. I am bad at drawing. So all Jackbox drawing games frustrate me. And so I will say, like, while it's least favorite, it's totally a personal thing because I know people love the drawing games and whatnot. I do really love Drawful for being the worse I am, the funnier the game becomes. Versus some other drawing games where I'm bad at it, it just means I'm losing.
In Drawful, I'll even explain like why the drawing's bad. I'm like, ignore the third arm there, and like you're writing on the screen. It's really sad. Yeah.
Anybody else want to?
I can't think of a bad game.
What can we say?
Love them all.
We don't
Love
make
them
bad
all.
games
I dare you to play
here.
Word Spud right now. Let's stream it. Let's do it. Put your money where your mouth is.
I'm also terrible at drawing. And
Yeah.
so when I started, I was like, I'm not going to do well at Drawful. And now that I've been like writing for it, it's one of my favorite games. So maybe you just need to force yourself to do something enough times that you love it instead of hate it.
I really love faking
like
it,
advice.
but I'm not good at it. So that would be my least favorite, just because I always get caught in the lie. But it was so fun to play during quarantine, especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, faking
What's
it, I
your
always
tell? How can people tell that you're lying?
I smile and laugh.
So
Yeah, that's-
every day.
You
So,
start sweating, shaking. You're like taking your sweatshirt off.
so you've been lying this entire stream. Karen. No? Anybody else got a least favorite they want to talk about, or do you want to move on to the next question?
I have something to say for the question before,
Yeah.
because when I was writing, like when we're writing for Drawful Animate, it's different than trivia because you don't have to look anything up, but you do sort of empty your brain after you've written a couple prompts. There's just nothing there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a book, a Richard Scarry's like town book,
Mm-hmm.
where each page has a lot of different nouns on it. It'll be like a worm carrying blueberries to a sparrow. And then I open that and I'll write prompts about like the different things.
Oh,
Not, I'll be like, oh, a blueberry.
yeah. You're not writing
That's
this
my research.
Yeah, we do have an eclectic mixture of books on our bookshelf that we have there for research, ostensibly, including a couple of romance novels,
Hello.
which I just noticed.
Throbbing.
Somebody want to fess up? We have a couple questions here. I think from our comic experience, Second City IO, does anybody want to quickly run down their resume, comedy-wise, or?
I mean, that's
I'm an understudy at Second City. I'm in the theatricals. Before COVID, I was doing their late night shows. I was on a cruise ship for Second City. And then I also perform at the Annoyance in Chicago in long form genre improv. And that's about it.
I absolutely thought you were joking when you said, should we say our resume?
I thought
I thought they said yes.
I prefer not to.
Okay.
Let's just have him. Do
Okay.
the
So now I
standout.
feel
CJ's the. That was very funny. But...
I thought you were making a joke.
Liz, you have to give your resume now.
Oh, I'm an understudy at the Second City. I
Which
was
is
say everything.
head writer for Devils in the Details.
Yeah, wait a minute.
I have
You're
a
married
child.
to Buzzy.
My wife's name is Buzzy. It's a real name. I put her name in every Jackbox Party Pack in some way, shape, or form since I've started here.
That's really cute.
All right, never mind.
No, I do think that's a
Moving
valid.
on.
Yes, those are the institutions, like Second City IO, The Annoyance, Liz and Allie and Paris. You all write for The Onion in some capacity, right?
Mhm.
So those are kind of like the Chicago-y places for big laughs and
for big laughs.
tiny chuckles. And then we kind of, you just like, as a performer, you sort of rotate through, do different stuff.
We had to, nope, that's not quite right. Now we have from Jackbox, Michelle, everyone give your name and give a fun fact.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm an understudy at Second City.
Okay.
And
My wife is Lizzie.
I love my wife.
head writer
I don't
He's
know.
fucking up. He's gone rogue.
My version of my wife is that I have a sketch duo called Spooky Dookie,
Oh, yeah.
and I will try to put that into all of our games. So some of us have families, some of us have
Some
of us-
sketch duos.
Some of us have sketch duos.
Some of us have a cat.
I try
Yeah,
to get
really
the word
important.
piss in a lot, and people say no.
Liz's wife is pissed.
Oh, Piss Anderson?
Yeah, it's me, Piss
Oh,
Anderson.
Piss
Oh, okay.
It's
Anderson.
me.
We're saying wrap it up behind the camera.
No, actually, we've been asked to slate. We've been asked to sing 16 bars. We're just auditioning for the audience now. Please give a story about game design, one dramatic, one comedic.
These are all actor
One
jokes.
contemporary. Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, we have a question for our producer that says you still have 40 minutes.
okay.
Thank you, Billy.
Thanks for that question, Belia.
We're
Thanks for
killing
that
it
question.
We're
right
doing
now.
great.
Just,
Great game design.
Subscribe,
Jackbox
use the
games.
emotes.
Does anyone have any questions about writing for the games?
Oh, is that what we should be talking
We
about?
are writers.
We do actually have a question coming on. Hold on. Ooh. Okay. What experiences, lived or imagined, have proven the most useful in this job? So my past experiences really like fed into this job. Well, I'm an understudy at Second City. Improv's good. Improv's good, especially when we have bigger meetings, especially when we're doing game design and being like taking somebody's idea and saying yes and trying to expand upon it, as opposed to shooting down. Also, I was a copywriter for a long time for hire, so companies would have me write their blogs or whatnot, which involved a lot of research. I would write for like aluminum siding companies. I'd write for marketing companies.
You did the aluminum siding blog that went viral.
That's it. Did you know you could save 20% on your normal heating cost
CJ,
with
were you
this
in the,
one trick?
were you in the aluminum naughty?
That was in the aluminum.
Oh, there it is.
There it
Allie
is.
Rubin.
There you go.
I
But no,
love
it was
cutting
just
it.
doing a lot of research real fast. And that's about it.
What that question for the newer Paris?
Yeah.
For the newer Paris.
Same question for the newer Paris. There's some older Parises, but I replaced
Yeah.
them.
In France.
If your name is Paris, you can apply for the Paris spot
Paris.
at Jackbox.
Yeah. There's always got to be someone.
There was a
Fill
young
the
gun.
role. I would say, writing for The Onion really taught me like brevity and how to keep things, succinct and tight and as punchy as possible. And I would say that was probably the most beneficial before.
Yeah, gotta keep it quick.
Yeah.
You think when you're writing it, you're like, but I gotta get the whole thing in. And then you're playing the game and the host says it and you're waiting for them to finish
Yep.
and everyone's eyes are going off to the side and you're like, no!
Yeah. People's eyes are glazing over.
Yeah. What about you, Allie? Has your PhD in geology helped?
Wow.
No, not at all. Honestly, that didn't even cross my mind for this question. I was going to say I did what CJ did, like writing content for companies, which is how I came up with that incredible aluminum naughty joke. That I just feel like we didn't appreciate enough, maybe.
Still holds up.
Can we rewind
And
real fast?
Thank you.
I think I said Allie Rubin, everybody, and then you waved, and we had a whole moment.
It wasn't
I
enough
just-
for her.
I'm gonna ask for the respect I feel I deserve, and then also I think the other thing that's helped is like knowing a lot of people and talking to a lot of people, and something that I do when I write now for hosts is like try and think of a person who they're like in my life and just try and like write for them. That sounds weird. It sounds like I'm writing dialogue for people I know, but it helps me. So yeah, and then geology, whatever. Everyone knows about geology.
Knowing a lot of people and talking to a lot of people, so you're just really popular and you just wanted to drop that
I
in.
guess all the friends
Okay.
and loved ones I have.
I guess if you can't relate, that's fine. That's on
Yeah.
you. But
My large social circle.
It
Wow.
is
yeah.
morning, and I'm getting dragged all over this town by Allie Rubin.
Liz the Hermit Anderson, do you have any
Yeah, so there's what Paris mentioned. Onion writing is very precise and within a specific voice, and learning how to write quickly for different editorial voices has been so helpful, because each game does have a different vibe and each editorial director has a different idea of like, well, this is the particular way I want this game to be funny.
Liz just froze. She gave
But
her
at a kind of a cool point.
yeah.
Yeah.
She just
Gave her
dropped the
gave her a
mic.
bit.
Am I back? Am I back? Am I back?
Oh, yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I ended that sentence well, and no one else can say otherwise. But the other thing that has been super useful, weirdly, this year has been like the research skills that you learn in like high school of how to cite a paper and things like that. Because when it comes to trivia, the trivia needs to be right, unfortunately. So, doing things like knowing, okay, what are actual good primary resources and what is good common knowledge, and diving back into the things that you knew as a high schooler has the breadth of experience has been that I've used this year has been very different.
Real quick, we have a real quick question of how many words do you know?
10.
Four.
Handful, yeah.
Yeah.
29.
Great.
4 or 4.
4 by 4.
4 or 4, yeah.
4 or 4. We're right.
Depends which 4.
And then, I mean,
Any given day.
Allie's so popular, she knows all the words.
I mean, all the words know me.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is good. I like this one. How do you decide on the voice of each game's host? Which is, I want to take it both ways, like the voice editorial, and then voice, finding the actor actress. Yeah.
Well, in my experience, so the first time that I was sort of in charge of that was Dictionarium. And if you've played Dictionarium, very fun, pretty simple game. It's in PAX 6. And because the game itself was pretty simple, I felt like that gave me sort of space to create a very present host that would sort of add color and texture. So I made her very European and weird. But I think that only worked because the game is so straightforward. You're making up, or you're writing a definition for a fake word, and you're writing a synonym, and you're putting it in a sentence, and it's very just kind of a very simple, lovely ta 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 ta. So then there's room for asides. This year I'm on Drawful Animate, and the host's voice, there's just a lot, there's more going on. I mean, that's also kind of, it's a franchise.
Legacy.
It's a legacy title. So this is a sequel. So we already have our host, but it makes kind of sense that she's much more sort of subdued and sarcastic, and doesn't take up a lot of airtime because there isn't a lot of airtime that you kind of want to fill. So part of thinking about the host, maybe the first step for me is to think about what the game needs. And then if the game already has a lot going on, that for Devils in the Details, there was so much going on.
So we brought back old hand Tim Sniffen. She's good at the wheel, drives us safely to where we need to go. He's also in chat, so I'm making fun of him.
He is? Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Timberly.
And for me, the first one I had to decide was push the button, and then this time it was Poll Mine. And in both those, I have big characters. In Push the Button, it's an artificial intelligence robot. In Poll Mine, it's a witch. And so with that, you almost kind of want to scale it back, because these are big characters, but they also have to be instructional. They have to guide people with the games. So big characters that are still clear, easy to understand, etc. Sorry, I just saw another question I like. What tools?
Sorry.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with chat. Does anybody else have anything to say about hosts?
Paris is snuggling one of the TMP
Paris,
dolls.
you're clearly lying. Okay. Going off the panel description, what tools from a writing or game design perspective help you bring out the funny person and comedically challenged players? So Jackbox Games, our goal is to make the audience funny. How do you help people be funny through editorial or writing?
Liz, what was your experience working on Quiplash 3 and
Oh, yeah.
trying to set people up for success?
Yeah, Quiplash is the note that you get when you're writing Quiplash is that it is important for the game not to be the funniest person in the room. Because
Which is why we were all hired.
Yes. We're all second funniest.
Which but you get the note all the time, hey, this safety quip is a little bit too funny. Because you are.
I never got that note.
Another brag from Liz.
Humble brag.
I'm very excellent at making piss jokes. But what you need to do is put yourself in a scenario and put yourself in the mind space of a player to be what is going to give you the most freedom to free associate something that is within your own personality, setting up not something that's not so specific that they're going to get hung up, but just Well, what's a word that you like? What's something that they can within those 45 seconds say like, oh, this is just something that I like, and I'm gonna put this in here because I know what the answer is for me. Which is that's a very vague way of describing it, but yeah, I'll throw that back to you guys.
Us in the studio. Thanks for our correspondent piss. Yeah, one of the things when you're writing a lot of the prompt games where the player is getting a prompt on their phone and having to put something in, when we write the actual prompt, we will it helps to think of like 3 or 4 different answers. And if the only type of, or not answers, but responses, if the only ones you can think of are all kind of the same, and then therefore the prompt is like asking for like a poop joke or something, then usually we try not to do those because it shuffles the player into a kind of a narrow line. And ideally, you could be playing with anybody and they should be able to write like, Dr. Curtains, and then that would be funny. I'm not sure.
Dr. Curtains, that's a classic.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what prompt would elicit Dr. Curtains.
What is the name of your doctor?
Who's the doctor of your couch?
Who finally got their degree after 5 years?
Who is the doctor of your couch? Ship it! Whiplash 4. The answer, Dr. Curtains.
It's gold. You getting this down?
You could also write frowny face, he died. And then that would be another, that'd be another
Great
funny
classic
answer.
hit.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
Why does the doctor have to be a he? Okay, let's assess. When I said Dr. Curtains, did you think it was a man? Oh, okay.
I got to be honest with you. You said Dr. Burns, and I just stopped thinking.
Everyone clicks their brain off.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, we have a lot of good questions coming in.
Any questions for Dr. Curtains? Just personally message me,
Right. We'll give Claire's personal phone number,
and I'll give her a ring.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna ask her to marry me. Okay. Surely the coffee did hit, and I thank you.
I have a question for the panel.
Yes, Liz.
Oh,
Of any of the work that has been announced so far, is there a prompt or something you've written that you think is your favorite that you can think of? Without the context of the actual game.
Oh boy.
Or
Well, we
with
did
it.
actually have a question of do you also do a favorite in-joke that you snuck into a game? So I think that's like combined of like favorite in-joke or favorite personal thing that you wrote. I just wrote a prompt that is going into Poll Mine that I think is the stupidest thing ever that I put it in because as editorial lead, I was trying to be like very professional and like make sure this game is good. And this was one I was like, you know what? CJ gonna have fun.
Tell us the
For CJ
prompt.
time.
Yeah, you can do Poll Mine. It's just Poll Mine survey game. You have 8 options, and it's just a gangster tried to kill you, and you failed. What do you say when you burst back in the room? And it's just 8 cool action lines, and
Love
one
it.
of them is "Yum yum, me hungry for revenge." And it is just so not a bland opinion question, but I wanted it in.
I wonder. I would only say "yum yum me hunky for revenge" if perhaps a baby gangster had killed me.
And you're trying to get down to their level.
Right.
Right.
Like the baby needs to understand
Yeah.
that me hungry.
Okay,
For revenge.
Anybody else got a personal thing they slipped into a game that you really love? We did have a question. Is anybody here writing for the 5th game of Jackbox? We all are. We can't talk about it.
No, and Liz refuses to answer that.
Yeah, so Liz had to go away.
Liz absolutely zooted out.
Liz was about to say something about the 5th game, and Allard assassinated her.
Liz is now in the Jackbox protection program.
It's a lot of fun for families and friends.
Okay, it's very hard for me to read, but I do see that we have a question for Dr. Curtin.
Okay.
Which is, can you look at my mole? Again, just go ahead and send me that pic.
Liz,
I am not soliciting photos
Liz.
on stream.
Liz, Do you have a personal favorite joke that you snuck into a game?
Well, I asked the question. I can't respond to it because I have lots of them, and that would make me seem very self-centered.
You ask
Yeah.
it and just list 17.
I gave my resume because of you, Liz. You have to answer this question.
The one that I do talk about all the time that I think got in was in talking points. One of the presentation prompts is so you have titles and then you fill it kind of Mad Libs, you fill in the titles of the prompt is this is a presentation about blank with just Star Wars quotes peppered in, and all of the signposts are actual Star Wars quotes. I've never seen it played, but
you imagine
mm-hmm.
that it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anybody else, especially new writers, you can sneak it now to tease what's coming out in the party pack.
I have a favorite joke. I don't want to ruin it, but it's very stupid. But if you're playing the trivia game, if you're playing the wheel, if you get any questions about any skateboarders, you may know. Please
I know what you're talking about.
Just DM me on Twitter or something, and we'll have a laugh. It was so stupid, and it's one of those things where I was just like, oh, I can't believe like CJ's gangster thing, where I was like, oh, like I can't believe it got in. Like I didn't know jokes could go in places.
But you see, you had somebody edit that. I'm the editorial lead of this game. Anything goes in that I want. It's only my conscience stopping me. So those
hungry for revenge.
I'm just saying those skateboarding ones were signed off by a second person. You're not solely to blame.
To blame.
Paris, do you have a favorite joke?
I wonder if this got in, but I think everybody really loved it. A drawful animate prompt.
Yes, we all loved it.
Mingling at the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Go on.
Yes.
I love to take like a historical event and then what's the weirdest thing that you could do?
That really made me laugh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People mingling in the front and then in the back.
Like drinks, you know.
I'm just here at the network.
Are you going to trials tonight? Who's up tonight?
Okay, we said 11 already.
goody.
Can we go?
Goody Elizabeth is on tonight.
Oh, boy.
Let's go. I heard Brian's going to be there.
Ryan.
I would say also, as editorial, Allie, Liz, and Paris have all written excellent surveys for Poll Line. I recommend you
Buy the pack?
Buy the pack. You can get, see if I can do this off the top of my head. You can get Paris's Which X-Men Do You Find Sexiest? You can get Allie's If You Were a Farmer, Which Crop Would You Think Would Be Most Successful?
Did you even put that one in the game? I thought that one was boring.
I redid that one to make it.
Okay, thank you.
And Liz, you can get Which Orb Do You Want on Your Side, including Pac-Man or the Sun.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Which orb?
So I'll talk you three up if you do not want to talk you three up.
Yeah, y'all are looking at content machines.
Yeah.
Allie, Liz, Paris, and then Ramel and Aaron are our other like full-time content, like just all day writing stuff, putting it into the void.
Yeah, this is also not all the writers here. We should mention we have.
This is maybe half.
What? This is about half. Well, staff-wise, it's more than half. But then there's people, the producers, directors also write for the game pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Which would be people you're familiar with, Ryan Warren from the Party Stream, and of course.
Ryan Warren.
Yeah, Ryan Warren. Running for Senate. Of course, Arnie, who is hated by all. And Tim in the chat writes when he's not being just a steady hand.
Drawing, speaking, hosting.
And then, and then Ramel and Aaron are two new ones.
Yes.
This year with this party pack.
A lot of questions for Dr. Curtains.
All right.
Oh, there was a good question from Bexy, I believe, that would do the voiceover posts, stick to the script, or like I can't remember because it's off the screen now. But Sorry,
Brooke is also a writer. She just hemmed into the chat.
I know. I thought it was pretty bold that you were going to name all the writers because I was like, I'll forget somebody.
And I did. Because Brooke is more than a writer. She is the heart of Jackbox games.
Wow. Overcompensating now.
Big way. All right.
But so the way it works with our voiceover, our wonderful hosts, we have a booth. Actually, now we have 2 booths in the office. So historically, and it's changed a little bit with the pandemic now, but we'll bring the hosts in, and then either the director or the editorial lead kind of runs the session. And it's very much on script because we're going through it really quickly. The way you have to write, so when you're playing once through the game, you're going to get like one version of each moment, but then there's a ton of like each thing that the host says, we have multiple alts, so like other versions of the line, so that when you play it again, you won't get the same joke, you won't get the same "let's go." Instead, you'll get like, "Come on."
Keep going.
Instead, you'll get "welcome." And so we just have a lot to record, way more than you would think when you're just like playing Quiplash once through with your friends. But so we kind of move really quickly. There are, though, since the host will come back multiple sessions, I do feel like it's not so much that you're improvising or writing something in the booth with them, but definitely I think whatever experience we have with the host, like the first session, that will definitely impact what then I write for the next one, because that person's like personality or what they're good at, or like, for example, in Drawful Animate, our host, Katie, did like a robot voice, which I just thought was really funny. So then for the next couple sessions, I just specifically wrote robot lines for her. And that has happened like each year, because the actors have like their own little special thing that's really funny. And then we can kind of lean into that once we've worked with them for one session.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like one thing that we missed in the pandemic that we're getting back to now is being in the office with the booths. By the way, here's a dumb joke that was in my head when you said that. It's like you said we have 2 booths in the office, and historically, and I really thought you were going to end with, booths kill Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
But I don't know why I had to get one out.
This must be said.
But being in the office means that sometimes you are pulled in, especially the writers, to do voices for the games, especially side voices, which hopefully we're going to be getting back to. Well, actually, it's already happened because Liz, you were just in a commercial, right?
Yeah, Wheel of Enormous Proportions has my whiny little voice.
And I was in the Pole Mine commercial, and then we'll be like background in the waiting rooms for the commercials. Like somebody had mentioned the You Don't Know Jack commercials.
Oh yeah.
Those commercials are all Jackbox staff, not just writers, but everybody in the office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We're not doing auditions for the You Don't Know Jack commercial.
No, we are not. Although we pulled in a few special people. We have a McElroy brother and a couple of them.
We do.
Yeah. I don't remember which one. I think Justin. And I don't know if he's in the credits. I can say that. Yeah, but it just fun stuff like that. There is a lot of like on the fly grand people. And you, Claire, you're one of the special endings for Trivia Murder Party.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm a detective.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's really fun. We record that stuff in a flurry usually towards the end of production, and then you forget that you're in the games because it was just like one of the audio engineers popping their head out and being like, "Can you come scream for me?" And then you go scream in the booth.
Oh, that's right. My wife is screaming in one of the commercials.
And what
You
about
heard him
Second
burst,
City?
my wife is screaming.
In one of the commercials.
So I think that person asked, what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite You Don't Know Jack commercial?
Oh.
And I'm having trouble remembering anything we wrote.
Yeah, boy. Because you write a ton of those. And then
I sang a song about shrimp tails. And I can't remember it. So is that a good answer?
That good? Is that a good one?
If you hear a song about shrimp tails, that's me.
That was me.
I like the fast ones. I feel like 2-line ones.
Yeah.
And it would lose its magic if done without the voice. But the bike shop one's really funny. Is there a joke you thought was great that just seemed to bomb unexpectedly? unexpectedly. Does anybody have like a question or a prompt you wanted to get in that didn't get in that you can say on air that didn't get cut because of your horrible beliefs?
I had one for Drawful, which was way too long. And it was supposed to be, I don't know what I was thinking. It was like a dialogue between two characters. And it was like, oh my gosh, Porky Pig. It's Mr. Pig.
No.
And I'm retired now. So that didn't make it in.
Gotcha.
Maybe something.
The editorial guide wasn't clear. Paris was submitting full pilots.
Right.
Novel anime.
Right. Retired Mr. Porky Pig.
Yeah. Aaron in the chat has asked, what's our favorite thing about Ramel and Aaron?
Oh, okay.
I don't know him that well. Couldn't really
Yeah.
If this is
Paris
Aaron
is
who
very
asked the
mysterious.
question, does anyone have ideas for a trivia round? Aaron, we can't give you. That's your job.
Yeah. I mean, what I love about Ramon and Aaron is they really let me sharpen my editorial sword because they needed the most work out of all the writing.
Say these things.
Just
They are
bless them for
talented.
that, just to be the low-hanging fruit I could easily pick off the tree and throw into a ditch.
One of my favorite things about Ramel is that despite the fact that we have to write clean for the games, he will still once in a while just throw in a dirty, disgusting prompt. Not disgusting, but just so far beyond. I know, Ramel, that you know that we cannot say the word masturbate in the game.
And yet
it will show up in a prompt.
I also love that Ramel and I are both dads and sit next to each other, and we talked about it, getting our babies to sleep for about half an hour yesterday.
A lot of dads in the office.
A lot of dads in the office.
And
A lot
some
of
moms.
Second City understudies. A lot of dads.
A lot of dads.
I'm the only one of each on this screen. I'm not, there's another good question here. And a lot of bad ones. Oof, God.
Come on.
Did the mini games for TMP come from game ideas that weren't greenlit?
Yes and no. There is a lot of we come up with ideas and pitches that don't work here, but might work as a mini game or it might work as a round in this game. There's a lot of recycling or just not throwing out everything. Like you said, finding what's fun about it. And if it doesn't work as a full game, it might work as a mini game, might work as a different section of something else.
Yeah. I think that some did come from that, and it was just, and then some came from us genuinely trying to think of what's the simplest game that could exist. And then that works for a mini game, but obviously wouldn't work for a full blown Jackbox game. I'm really struggling to read, so if anyone else can read from here.
One question I liked is, do game ideas usually start in the writing room or more of the programming side? And the easiest answer is everywhere. There is no one section of Jackbox that usually starts. However, different types of games usually start in different sections. So Joke Boat, Blather Round, very word-based games are starting in writing rooms. Versus
Job coming out in JPP 8.
Versus stuff like Devils in the Details, or a lot of drawing games are more programming-ish, or would involve new technology we want to play with. That would start on the programmer side.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Well done, CJ.
Thanks. There's a reason you let me understudy it. There's a reason my child lets me read.
I feel like a lot of times. Oh, go ahead.
There's what you hope happens is that you can collaborate with either if you're on an engineering side, collaborating with writer or vice versa, especially during pitching, because I didn't pitch a lot in this past ideation phase, but I noticed that if you can get something in a controller and in a playable format, it is so much easier to explain what the game is, especially when we did all of our playtesting remote this year, which was a unique challenge.
Yes.
But yeah, the sooner you can start talking to folks about your idea and how I can put this into a phone or a computer ASAP, it's part of the process.
Yes. That is a good thing to say, is that traditionally, historically,
Booth killed Lincoln.
Booth killed Lincoln. So they say. Listen to my podcast, The Real Story.
Behind the booth.
Yeah. We would, when we play test games in the past, it's a lot of Sharpies and paper and very simply like, oh, write this down and then pass it to your neighbor and then they're doing something. And you can facilitate it pretty quickly and then ideate and transform games really fast. And then in the pandemic, we were having to be online. So it just took a lot longer to like rig up. Well, we were using like slides, Google Slides.
Jamboard.
Yeah.
Jamboard.
Jamboards.
Like slacking, a lot of slacking people prompts, which is funny. So then like if I go back and I'll look at Slack conversations with some people, it's just me, especially when we were like testing out Drawful Animate and stuff. It's just like, I've sent them a string of like,
Nonsense.
your uncle is vomiting, like, like red dog screaming, just blah, 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 as if I'm like bullying them over the course of weeks with these prompts. But it's just that's how we were communicating the prompts while we were in like Zoom or Discord playtests.
Do want to shout out, we have about 10 minutes left, so this is your last chance to get any questions in real fast, such as important ones, such as what's your favorite Jackbox Party Pack 8 game to work on?
Uh-oh. Let's hear it, Paris.
Coal mine.
Yeah.
Coal mine. So much.
Paris is a pole mine savant.
Yeah, Paris
say
was
that.
excellent at Pull Mine.
You did say that.
We cannot mention the 5th game, so if that's your favorite, shut up.
Redact it. What about you, Liz?
Oh, Jackbox Party Pack 8. I love all the games that will be good for friends and family to play
All right.
together.
Okay.
Okay. Allard really did get to her in that cutout.
He pulled her offline. He gave her a firm talking to.
Oh, sorry.
You get back there and you plug.
It's a good 15-minute party game to spend time and break tension amongst your coworkers.
Spend time and break tension. That's gonna be our new tagline.
Spend time, break tension. Xbox games.
You got to start
We
playing our
broke
game.
tension all night.
Oh, God.
Let's get the game started.
Okay, I guess Liz passed on that. Allie,
Yes,
what's
I
your
did.
favorite?
Yeah, Liz, that was a real punt. I like. I think it's a tie between. I really like Drawful Animate, and I also weirdly really like the Wheel doing trivia because I like writing for that. I like writing for the
Weirdly.
host. Not weirdly, like it's the hardest one,
Right.
but I'm not
Yeah.
afraid of a challenge because I'm
Like some people.
Wow. Okay.
unlike
Allie
some
is
people.
being very eligible on this.
Yeah.
Very popular. Not afraid of a challenge.
And I am
Geology.
single. Yeah, if anyone is looking, I
Well-
can't tell you where I am.
No.
No.
I do think you're going to win the circle, though, so you got that.
Right.
covered.
It's a reality show video diary.
Right.
I feel like
Very powerful.
this is so much funnier if you don't know how unpopular I am in my real
No.
life.
Do writers get to choose which games to work on, or do you get assigned, or do you work
No.
collaboratively across
They
all
make
the
us work
games?
on all of them.
Yeah.
No, you don't get to really.
You don't get, they just throw you stuff. If you get to a position where you're editorial lead, you can just be like, busy on my game, can't write for this
Can't.
one, bye.
Can't write for yours.
Yeah.
But there are general, like, this is how much we generally need from each writer for each game. But then something that naturally happens, such as Paris loving Pole Mine, is that you'll sort of be more inspired by certain games and then write more for them. And in a perfect world, which we live in, no problems. Thank you, government. Thank you, government.
She's a little paranoid all of her.
Yeah.
All of her.
All this Doc Curtin
Government is to
talk.
Claire as Allard is to Liz.
Yes.
Her phone was tapped, so she has to say that.
In a perfect world, it kind of evens out so that if you are not super inspired by trivia, for example, but you're writing more on other games and somebody else like Allie is like really on a kick for the Wheel, then we'll end up meeting our goals without having everyone have to strictly divide their time evenly. Like Like the government wants.
Yeah, and then luckily sometimes it's also staggered that like we start running for one game first because it's ready to go first,
That's fun.
and you can get ahead on that content. So by the time the next game is done, then you can start writing for that one, and then that's what. That way, you rarely do you get the right equal amounts for all 5 games at the same time. Maybe like a month or 2 weeks there's a bleed over on that, but that's about it.
That's what's happening right now. It's like we're like 2 games where like we're basically done.
Yeah, 2 games ready to ship. Want to play them? Let's do it.
No. We have 2 minutes left. Let's play Job.
Let's play. Oh my gosh, I almost read that out loud.
How do you choose the theme of a party pack, like space and bath? Great question, Trust Red Herrings. Our creative officer, is that what a CO is?
Yeah.
Yep, Allard decides and mocks it up.
It's usually, and often it's based on art. The idea of what images would look cool gathered together, or etc. A lot of Jackbox themes stuff is very art based. Once again, it's a very collaborative process.
Yeah.
And so even if we're like editorial guide writing the voice of the host, that's very affected by what the host looks like, for example.
If the host is on screen.
If the host is on screen.
Every time you say etc., I think you say Excedrin.
Etc. Past acting.
This is such a good commercial for Excedrin.
CJ
Do you
is
have a headache after
editorial
watching
lead
us for 1
Excedrin.
minute?
Yeah.
Take an Excedrin.
Just pop one of those babies back.
Hey. I think we're just getting a lot of congratulations in the chat now. Good questions.
Thank you.
There's a lot of love for Allard.
What's Cookie like in real life? He's a dream.
Yeah. Cookie Masterson.
Cookie Masterson. He lives in the office.
Mm-hmm.
He sleeps vertically in the server closet.
We open it.
Don't
He gives
we
us a
all?
trivia question. It's a good start to the day.
We feed him.
Did working remotely help at all with playtesting games that would be played remotely? E.g., realizing the mechanic doesn't work unless you're in the same room. That's a big thing. Usually with the party pack these days, we want games that work remotely since there's so many streamers. We're okay with one game being like, okay, this is a room game. This is okay. Because we want different types of games. They don't all have to play the same.
The last game, the remaining game is actually just Frisbee golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
IRL.
mhm.
So it'll give you the geographical coordinates. And then
Frisbee golf.
of a local Frisbee golf game.
you just run out.
You just
and
run
join.
out and try to get them. But you have to say the room code
Yeah.
when you get there.
Which is
Otherwise, they're like, no.
Yeah.
The red
And
code
we'll ship
is
you
field, outdoors.
all right, let's see if we can wrap fire. Which game has your favorite visual style?
probably Monopoly.
Real.
I love the little man.
Yeah, Wheel.
Okay.
The
Oh, and
control's
Coal
really
Mine.
beautiful.
Coal Mine, the little Coal Mine characters.
All mine characters.
Oh, love those
Yeah.
little guys.
Yeah, this pack or any pack if you want to go deep into the past too.
I love the people in Push the Button.
Okay.
I love watching them walk the gangplank
Oh yeah,
into the ship.
very satisfying.
Yeah. Shout out to Bruno.
I won't say anything of note, but I love the visual style of the 5th game we have not released.
What a great cliffhanger. I'll now say the title.
Paris already said it. It's Frisbee golf.
Finally,
Right.
what are the names of your pets?
Oh, wonderful. Francis Nut McFadden.
Cat.
My 2 cats, their government names are Cleo and Eve, but I call them Tiger and Baby.
Okay. So I have a cat named Scully, named Scully from the X-Files.
I love that.
I love you.
Mulder,
I love
it's me.
etc.
Allie.
I have a cat named Meryl. Her full name is Meryl Streep from the movie Mamma Mia.
Nah.
Excellent. And I'm babysitting a cat this week. His name is Phineas, and he is a menace to me.
Okay, we
And
have
for society.
Wow.
2 minutes left. What is the last question? Last question. I don't know. I've lost the chat. Oh, we can just start the wrap? All right. Never
We
mind.
have a wonderful question that says thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see my name, but I can't read it.
It says
Paris.
Paris with the real answers. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Paris.
Right,
Paris.
government name, true name.
Yep, that is the arc of this episode, is Paris not giving any details to Paris giving more than enough details.
She gave us the government names of her cats.
Yes.
I I would love to. Hey, PAX viewers, how's your experience? We would love to ask you questions. So, how's it been? The convention?
Please give those interchange people are told to wrap up.
Okay.
Is there a
you
sniper
can-
aimed on you right now?
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Liz is 30 seconds away from saying smash that like button.
Smash
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe. Please, in the comments, drop the government name of your cat.
And of course, please check out the Jackbox Party Pack 8 in the fall with 4 games that we've already announced. Pull Mine, Drawful Animate, The Wheel of Enormous Proportions, and Job Job, and a 5th yet to be named. We have been the Jackbox Writers Room. We are only half the room, the other half. A lot of people, including Brooke Bright, probably the star of the show. I'm CJ Tor, an understudy at Second City. With me has also been anybody?
Paris Newton.
Claire McFadden.
Allie
Signing
Ribbon.
off.
Elizabeth Anderson.
And of course, we have Byalia just yelling at us